Hello everybody, welcome back to ACR, and for our new viewers, ACR stands for Action Comedy Review. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about Hot Shots, starring Charlie Sheen as the main character. It came out in the year 1991. It was directed by Jim Abrahams, and is supposed to be a spoof of Top Gun with Tom Cruise. The movie grossed over $181 million in the box office. Now that's surprising because the movie actually had a budget of $26 million, so they made, let's say, $155 million back from it. Whew. Now that's a big earn back.
Yeah, no dip, Sherlock.
Okay. Let's get into the review. So the movie starts out with a cool plane montage, there's a few jokes here and there. After that it cuts to jet pilots, and one of them's being irresponsible, which ends up making him crash in a failed attempt to escape.
Oh, that's just like how I died!
Wait, really? No.
The other pilot gets launched out of the plane because it ejected him, and he falls into a bush, which gives him, like, antlers out of, like, sticks and leaves. Then it turns out it's deer season, so, I think you know where this is going.
No, I don't. Please elaborate, Geek.
Kermit, shut up!
Took a chinchilla.
It turns out that was a flashback of some sort, so it cuts to present day. Topper Harley, the main character, wakes up, and it turns out that it was his dream. A Navy man shows up in the village that Topper's living at to look for him and talk to him. He rings the doorbell on the tent, then Topper has to unlock the fur door? Wait a minute. He's asked by the Navy man if he's the correct person, and Topper replies with, he once was, but now he's Tuca Chinchilla.
Took a chinchilla.
He's asked what that means, and it pans down to Topper's bunny slippers. What the? I liked it because it made me laugh. It was like, right out of the blue. Topper's this, like, really serious dude, and then he's just wearing fuzzy bunny slippers. It's revealed to us that the Navy man is named Lieutenant Commander James Block, and he once flew with Topper's father, Buzz Harley. The father was known as the greatest pilot who ever lived until his unfortunate accident. They go into the tent because James needs to talk to Topper about something. It turns out the Navy wants Topper back into the flight force. He questions why they want him back because they kicked him out before. Topper hands James a pipe with a balloon on the other end, and I thought I knew where it was going, and I was correct. James's voice got higher, but I think the part that really got me out of that was the fact that Topper's face was just straight the whole time. And that's a reoccurring thing in the movie. He just has a straight face through all the jokes. While they're passing the pipe around, James tells him that he's getting a second chance and that he's the best of the best. Topper says he needs to speak with the elder of the village that he's staying at before he goes. The elder is very wise according to Topper, so he asks him for guidance. He tries to get the attention of the elder, but he's listening to Can't Touch This on his headphones. I had no clue what I was expecting when I was watching this movie, but like, come on man, it's just so stupid. They talk for a little bit and the elder gives him a biker jacket that Dancing with the Bikers wanted to give to him. He also tells Topper that when he's out, he needs to grab some AA batteries. When he heads out to go to the Navy Air Station, he meets this woman and tries to show off his skills on his bike. She shows off on her horse, and it's pretty funny.
Hey, buddy. You okay?
Topper arrives at the station, and we get to meet Admiral Tug Benson. We meet him through a very funny scene where he falls out of like a plane with no staircase. And let me just say, you're gonna see a lot of Benson throughout this review. And then Topper heads to the sleeping quarters where he meets his old friends again and some new friends. Also, he says hi to a rabbi that's in the sleeping quarters for some reason. I don't know if he knows him, but that's the last time we get to see the rabbi. After that, we meet Jim Felfenbach, who has walleye vision, which makes everything look like a fisheye lens, so he can't do a lot of things properly. Right after Jim, we get to meet Pete Thompson, whose nickname is Dead Meat. You'll see why later. When a new character gets introduced, they usually have a badge on their uniform. Now this one's funny, because this guy's named Red Herring. Herring calls for their attention, and there's this funny scene where he's talking down to some dude, and he springs right back up. And it plays a spring sound effect too. I really like that joke. I don't know why.
You take orders! When I say attention, I mean attention! Yes, sir! Now!
A lot of the jokes in this movie are really stupid, and sometimes I just really like them for some god-awful reason. Right after the meeting, we get to meet Kent Gregory, whose father died because of Topper's father's actions. Then immediately after that, Jim reveals that his father was the one who shot Kent's father. Yeah, he's the guy in the beginning of the movie with the antlers. Then the lady that's on the team says that her and Jim are related. Then right after that, some dude says that they're cousins, and it's just a stupid, really stupid joke. And once again, I laughed at the joke. Then Kent gets mad at Topper, and Pete comes in as a word of reason to stop their arguing. They shake hands, and while they're shaking hands, their hands start to steam up, and Topper's hand gets crushed by Kent's hand. It's really funny. Then we get a little scene where Benson and James are talking for a bit.
Did too.
After Topper was told to go to see the psychiatrist, he's waiting outside her office for her to arrive. While he's waiting for her to arrive, he sees some dude gear up with a bunch of electrical equipment and goggles to screw in a light bulb. It turns out the psychiatrist was the lady from before where Topper was trying to show off on his bike. And we get her name, it's Ramonda. Also, throughout the movie, they have this joke where they sit down on a chihuahua and they sit right back up and they grab it and then they pet it for a little bit and then put it on the floor. And then it just gets annoying because it's in the movie 7 times. And then as they're talking, she brings up his father and him being kicked out of the Navy a while ago. Topper starts to have his heart beat a lot and he's freaking out, having a heart attack. Then he breaks his chair on accident because he's freaking out so much. She puts down as a diagnosis for paternal conflict syndrome. Right after that, he gets mad at her and then this happens.
I'll be just fine.
Are you okay? Yeah.
It cuts to a classroom scene where Benson walks in and he tells the pilots what they're going to be doing and the specs of their jets that they're going to be flying, and to see who's better at it for an upcoming big mission. The first test is Kent versus Topper. Kent tells them how many feet he is in the air, and then Topper tells him he's on 3rd and Main, and then he proceeds to fly through a city. Then as he's showing off, he flies near Kent, and there's this Garfield plush that's attached to the window of the jet, which I found pretty funny. Then right after that scene, he's told that he's just like his father in the way he acts. And then Topper starts to have another freak out that almost makes him crash. So right after that, they decide that they're gonna stop the training for today, and as they're landing, Jim lands in Las Vegas. I had to look it up because I didn't know where the Dunes Hotel was, but I had a feeling it was in Vegas because it had like a Vegas style. Right after the flight test, Topper meets up with Ramonda again, and she recommends that he gets grounded from flying, but Topper refuses that offer. Then we cut to a boxing match where the Pope's in the ring for some reason, and James is in the crowd. Just to clarify, the Pope is not fighting.
I remember when I fought the Pope. It was the greatest fight of the century.
James and Mr. Wilson talk about Topper's condition and how they might have to call off the big mission that they've been planning for a while. The match was clearly rigged, so I had to watch it 5 more times, and I was like, what the heck? What's the joke? After that, it cuts to a bar scene where the Navy men who are on the flight team are, along with Kent, who meets up with Ramonda. Through them talking, it's revealed that they used to date. Ramonda has to step away because she has her performance to do. She comes back and she starts singing with a piano player, and she's standing on the open piano. I don't know how that's physically possible, but okay. Then she sits down on the piano and it closes, and she starts to scoot on the piano, and then she falls off. I was laughing the whole time. As she's singing, she asks if anybody from out of town is here, and a dude in some winter clothing and some Amish people respond. Right after that, Topper walks in and he starts playing the piano to get Ramonda's attention. In that process, it becomes a duet between the two. As she's walking over to Topper, she hits some dude in the face and he falls down. As she's going to the top of the piano, she stomps on Topper's hand as he's playing the piano. It was so funny. They end the song and Kent gets mad that Topper showed up after what he did during the flight test. They start arguing and giving each other threats like little children, and that sparks a big fight in the bar. And then Ramonda tells everyone to stop, and they do so. Kent says drinks are on him, and everyone starts to freak out. Then he walks outside with Ramonda and offers marriage, but she refuses. Topper starts talking to Ramonda right after that and offers to walk her home. Then they bond for a little while, to say the least.
You sure you don't want to tell him what you mean by bonding, Jake?
Nah, dude, I'm good.
Can't find my lucky gum.
The next day, as the flight team's heading to practice, Jim tells Pete that he got kicked out of the Navy because of his walleye vision. Pete then tells him that Topper never came back last night because he was at Ramonda's house, bonding. As soon as Topper realizes he's late, he heads right over. As Pete's heading over to the flight test, it's foreshadowed that he's going to die because he doesn't have his lucky gum. A black cat walks by him. A mirror breaks near him. He walks under a ladder. Just all the stereotypical bad luck. And then to top that all off, he can't sign his life insurance form because the pen wasn't working. Pete's been investigating on how to reverse global warming and who'd killed JFK. But he says he'll keep those secrets until the flight test is over. Jim comes up with the idea to fill in for Topper, so he disguises himself with Topper's helmet and clothing. He then hops into Topper's jet. Then we cut to the control tower where Benson and Red Herring are. Benson thinks the jet engines are too loud, and he says that his ear canals are made of metal, and he demonstrates it by putting a cloth through his ear and it pulls out the other side. Yeah, that was hilarious. Then one of the navigators gives him some earplugs and he says, "Here, have these. They'll work." Then Benson swallows them like pills. And then it was at that moment I realized Benson is the best character in this entire movie. Topper finally arrives at the flight training. And as soon as he gets there, Jim's about to crash the jet, but he ejects himself out and then gets lodged in the bottom of Pete's jet. He then helps Jim get out of the bottom of the jet, but then he crashes, and somehow survives that. But then he gets hit by an ambulance. Topper saves Pete and loads him into the back of the ambulance, but it's a really bumpy ride, so he's flying all over the place in the back along with the medical equipment. Jim gets saved by his parachute, but then it gets caught in the back of the ambulance, and he gets dragged all the way to the hospital with them. When they do get to the hospital, Pete gets literally the worst doctor in the world, because he bites Pete's nose, he injects morphine into himself, and it just doesn't turn out well because Pete dies right after that. Topper gives Pete's wife some money for his condolences because he feels like this is somewhat his fault. She says she can use the money to buy more hats because she won the lottery. Oh, I wish I could.
Oh, I remember when I won the lottery!
Pablo, shut up! I don't want to hear another one of your stories! Pete's family and the Navy flight team are there, and the Chihuahua joke happens again. Then right after that, this dude with peanuts from like a baseball game is there, and he tosses somebody some peanuts. It's pretty funny. Wilson says that the jets have to fail in combat in order for them to get replaced, and that Pete's death wasn't really a big deal. James gets mad at what he said, and he leaves him. The Navy men shoot for Pete's funeral, but then Benson starts to freak out and starts shooting up the place and throwing grenades, and everybody freaks out. God, I love Benson so much. He's the best character. Oh wait, I already said that.
Stay back.
Topper heads over to Ramonda's apartment to talk to her about quitting the Navy. Ramonda begs for him to not quit, and she believes that somebody's trying to sabotage Sleepy Weasel, the project they've been training for all this time, to fail. Also, it turns out that Kent was watching them the whole time from, top of a building with binoculars. Now, this scene is probably one of my favorites from the entire movie. It's when Benson and James are talking, and he offers James some pudding. And he just spits it all up on him. Yeah, I don't know why I love it so much, but here's the clip.
Pudding?
No.
Benson brings up the idea of kicking Topper out of the Navy again. James pleads for him to change his mind, and he immediately does so. Also, he thanks James for having him over for dinner last night, even though it wasn't him. Here's the clip.
I want to thank you for having us over to dinner the other night. Cheryl and I thought the stroganoff was marvelous.
But, sir, we didn't have dinner the other night.
Really? Where the hell was I?
We cut back to Kent, and he's walking outside of Ramonda's house with a chafing dish that he just casually stole. He's told by Topper and Ramonda that that's not his, but they let him keep it because he refuses.
I slipped in the crab.
We cut to the ocean where they were shipped off to the Mediterranean Sea. Jim was reassigned to work on the ship that they head to, and he's now the head of the radar. When they get out of their jets, each of them have their own joke. Here, have a look at some. I don't know why Topper didn't have one. I thought it would have been really funny. Wilson shows up to watch the mission to see if it succeeds or not. Benson goes over to greet him, and he slips on a crab. Here's the clip.
Rosner from Rockman Aviation. They'll be observing the operation.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay, I'm all right.
Benson is literally the best character in the entire movie. I know I keep saying it, but come on, he's the best. The reason why Wilson's truly there is revealed because he signals to somebody to cut the wires on one of the jets. Tension happens between Topper and Kent, and they get into a fist fight. Kent gets hit in the face by Topper, and they both act like wimps right after it. Benson then walks in to tell everyone that they're going to be hitting the enemy's coast.
We hit the enemy toast.
I see what you did there. That's actually really funny, Jake. That's the first time I actually laughed at one of your jokes.
Wait, Kermit, you actually liked my joke?
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't make fun of me for it.
Shut up.
What?
I'm going to Disneyland.
Now, I could go on and on about jokes Benson makes and all the best moments of him, but that'd just make the video 50 minutes long, so I'll spare ya. James wants Topper to lead the final mission. Kent opposes to this idea, but gets told off by James. Topper asks James to reconsider this, but James already has his mindset. Everything's going well so far. They're taking off just fine. There's a matador in the runway. There's a dog chasing after the plane. You know, the normal things.
What the heck do you mean? That's not normal at all.
Kermit, what do you mean? You're a talking frog. That's not normal at all. Also, a joke about Benson's hat happens where it flies away and off the ship, and then he says, we should go turn around and get it back. I really like the joke. It's actually hilarious. I'll link the clip down below in the description. The mission begins and Topper freaks out again because somebody related him to his father again. They might have to abort the mission at this point because if they don't have Topper, bad news. They try to turn around, but the enemies are right behind them in their jets. Also, they got a bogey at 12 o'clock.
Not now!
They try to fight back with their weapons, but they're not working because they got sabotaged. In the last effort to get Topper to feel better again, James tells him that everything he's heard about his father was a complete lie. Father wasn't thinking about himself the whole time throughout the whole accident. He was trying to save Kurt's father and himself in the process. But things just kept going wrong, leaving no time. After he learns this, he decides to fight for his father, one last time. Destroys the enemy's ships without any missiles. He just tricks them all out and makes them crash into each other or, like, fall down. Topper also does this Looney Tunes type trick where he stops behind a mountain with, like, brakes on his jet. I don't even think jets have brakes at all. I don't think that's physically possible at all. In a last-ditch effort, he decides to go to the enemy's base and drop the bomb, what the whole plan was leading up to. He succeeds in blowing it up, but it doesn't look like Topper survived. They finally completed the mission, so they head back to the ship, and turns out Topper's alive. But he's just in a completely mangled jet. Everyone starts celebrating. Kent and Topper finally have a better bond. Kent finally tells him what a chafing dish is. It's like a crock pot, but not. As they're celebrating, Topper gets asked what he's gonna do now that the enemy's finally defeated. And he responds with this.
I'm going to Disneyland. Yeah!
Then some guy gives him money, which I'm assuming is a Disney CEO because, you know, gotta have the Disney product placement, am I right? James gets a blood transfusion because he got shot when they were in the battle. He tells Topper that he wanted to be #1 over his father, Buzz. Also, the dude who was giving the blood transfusion just kind of left, so the other dude deflated like a balloon. Right after James and Topper are done talking, Topper and Benson defeat Wilson and his subordinate. Then later that night, when Topper's by himself, he decides to throw his father's eyes that he kept for so long for good luck into the ocean. They arrive back in America and everyone who's there for the celebration congratulates him. Also, there's his dad who gets his beard chomped on because his daughter thought it was cotton candy. Ramonda arrives at the celebration to look for Topper, but he thinks that she's here for Kurt because she's happy to see him and she gives him a hug. Topper decides to head back to his village with his jet. Ramonda chases after him on a horse that's on the ship for some reason, but she's too slow.
Wait, how did the horse get there, though?
Yeah, Jake, tell us.
What the heck are you guys asking me? I didn't make the movie, I'm just reviewing it.
But why though?
Topper arrives back at the village and he gives the elders AA batteries he wanted. He also tells them the outcome of his time away. Ramonda finally arrives there and her and Topper live happily ever after. Oh yeah, for some reason in the credits they tell you how to make brownies and they give you a list of things to do after the movie. Man, what is up with these credits? They keep throwing random stuff at you. Heck, they even tell you a recipe to make knobby buns. I don't even know what those are. Hold on one second.
Oh, okay, that's completely opposite of what I thought they were. Nice. Huh. Those actually look good. Might make them.
Also, at the end of the credits, they say, if you had left this theater when these credits began, you'd be home now. Wow, that's a real shot to the heart if you're a Marvel fan. For me, Hot Shots gets 8 out of 10 gems.
Wow.
When I first started this movie, I had no clue what it was about, and all I knew was that Charlie Sheen's in it, and that it's a movie about jets. I have zero regrets about watching this movie. I loved the comedy, the action, you know, the whole thing ACR is about. It's pretty much like Kung Pao. It's a movie I thought I wasn't gonna like at first, but hey, I ended up liking it. This happens with a lot of new things that people try, like food for example. Let's say somebody doesn't like fish. They try fish the next day. Turns out they love it. It's a common thing with likes and dislikes. I really wasn't disappointed with this movie. I love the characters. They're so memorable and lovable. And most of the jokes are actually good, even though they may be stupid. Hot Shots is a good movie. A really, really good movie. I recommend you go watch it if you can. And maybe, if you have the free time, you can like the video. Or you can subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. I mean, those are options. Those are pretty cool options. I'd do that myself. Heck, I'd even ring the notification bell as well. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've seen the movie before, or plan to see it. Tune in for my next review on Hot Shots Part 2, the sequel to Hot Shots. Of course. But anyway, see you next time. Have a good day.